Hello everyone and welcome to our fourth and final round of the 2018 Memorial Championships presented by Discraft. Terry Miller along with Valarie Jenkins for the final 9 holes of this 72-hole event, a really long event kicking off the Disc Golf Pro Tour here in 2018. Val, right now, looks like Paige has a commanding lead. Is there any stopping her?
I don't know. She's kind of on the home stretch now. 9 holes to go, and she's been playing pretty solid golf. So I'm just looking for her to show off a little bit in this back 9. So let's see her.
Black Ink, a partner here of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We appreciate the support. And let's get to it. We've moved over to hole number 10, which Madison Walker a few days ago said this is her least favorite hole on the course. She says it plays very tough. What are your thoughts on it, Val?
I would agree with Mad. Yeah, this is a tough drive. It's a tough upshot. You want to make sure that you can get down the fairway as far as you can on any one of these shots to give yourself an easy putt. And this, I swear, is the first roller that I've ever seen Paige Pierce throw. And I think that's a great play if you have that kind of shot in your bag.
Paige has talked throughout the years about how she just really feels rollers are unnecessary, and big shocker coming from someone who throws as far as she does. But I like the play here, like you said. She's trying to really take the trees out of play as much as possible. And it's okay if it finishes up and to the right. There's nothing wrong with that. You may have the tree line to contend with, but it seems to be a pretty safe shot.
But that is also a great shot there by Jen. I've always traditionally thrown right up the gap, and hopefully I get a nice flat landing zone. You see, Jessica was a little off to the right, so she had to stand still and throw that shot. But right here, where Lisa's throwing from, that's pretty much ideal.
And Lisa trying not to get hung up on that right side that we were just talking about. And she gets a skip out to the left. It looks at this point like she's just looking at the par. And Jen's got to stand still with her back to the hole. And how does that happen?
That's unfortunate. Yeah, I was just looking back on Jen's footwork there. I think it's really hard. She had to put all of her legs into that shot, and I feel like it's easier to throw that shot from your toe rather than flat-footed like that, and I think she just left it clearly a little wide to the left and wasn't able to get that full flight out of it.
Would have been a great situation for a forehand, but like myself and yourself, Jen's not exactly a proficient forehand thrower, and really doesn't try to go to that option unless you need to. I hope I'm not offending you by saying, Val, that a forehand's not your preferred shot, that is.
Terry, we can pull up some highlight reels. I've thrown a few good forehands in my day, but yeah, definitely not my go-to shot. But if I have to throw it in the woods, I will, but maybe not in the wide open. I wouldn't choose that. I'd throw it, turn over mid-range. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well, at least Paige has a little cushion there to protect her.
She does. She's going to be looking at a bogey ultimately. That was for par. So Jessica is going to be looking at a bogey. And this is Jen for what would be a bogey after she's taken the penalty stroke. Little downhill putt. Right side change is not enough. Well, we're going to let them clean that up. A rough hole. Maybe that's exactly why Madison and yourself say that you don't care for it. We'll see this group play it in 5 over par. And we're moving on to hole 11. We're finally coming back, figuratively and literally, back on the home stretch here.
Yeah, and a lot of these shots, they're just tricky drives. They're going to make you throw as hard as you can to get up the fairway, but they're really testing. That was a crush by Paige there. That was huge.
Yeah, it certainly was a crush, but I also do want to remind you, this is one of the holes that features what they're calling a ladies' tee. So this one's a little bit shorter than what we're seeing the men throw from. It comes in at 543. I believe the regular tee is somewhere closer to 700. So Paige did crush it, but it may be a little deceptive since I know you weren't out there this year and play it for yourself.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I have never been past those trees in my life. I don't even know. I'm happy if my second shot gets past them, but this is a good change up. I like that play. Unfortunate for Jen. I mean, she can crush just as well, but sometimes her consistency can be off, and that's what is detrimental to her game. But she has so much power.
Yeah, and she said there after throwing her, what was her third shot, she's like, well, at least it's going to hit the tree and go B again. And right now, Jen's a little bit, she's on the struggle bus, and we saw her struggle on the last hole, get the unfortunate penalty, and now she's got some work to do. Meanwhile, Paige, just a standstill, easy little chip shot for her. As Jen's outside circle 2.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for Jen. I think starting this round in that front 9, she had her eyes on the prize, hoping to hunt down Paige. And unfortunately, things got off the rocker and she started to lose strokes. And as she started to do that, now Jessica, now Lisa are picking up their game. They had nothing to lose. They're going for as high as they can get at this point. Paige might be out of reach, but they're going to go for second or third if they can. And if Jen's not willing to fight for it, they're going to be right there to get those places.
We saw a great putt by Lisa, one of the best long-range putters in the game. And as you said, she's going to take every advantage she can, trying to pick up some strokes. This is right now seems to be a battle for the top few spots. Paige out of reach with yet another birdie. And we're going to be moving on to hole 12, a beautiful water shot. I love watching everyone tee on hole 12. This is going to be a little bit different tee from what we typically see on the men's side. But
I love this change. I got to say, I love it. I throw from the long tee to the short pad, and I feel ridiculous. But it's a much easier drive being at this distance, throwing over that water.
Paige has the luxury of going with what I believe is a mid-range there. And just the confidence that she has. And then also talk about the fact that we're not seeing a wind. A lot of times it seems as if a headwind, as if this hole isn't tough enough. There's usually a headwind coming right in at you, but really calm out there right now.
It is. And yeah, throwing a mid-range on this, if the wind was picking up a little bit, I
think.
And you can see right over that, they call it the gunite. It levels out. You can see Jen walking on it right now. So you really have to clear it. It's an uphill shot. You have to make sure you get the distance. 282 feet does not even begin to explain this hole. It seems like it would be easy, but yep, if that wind picks up, or if calm like this, it could be very tricky.
Well, and the spotter, thankfully, another one of the amazing staff out here had said that she did in fact clear over the line. That's why she was able to take it where she did, and that was a huge difference maker, be able to be on flat ground up at the top to what should be a tap in for the bogey.
Wow, all these ladies are giving it a great run. Yeah, I love that this is a birdie opportunity, although Paige is running at birdies even from the long tee as well.
And Paige with the birdie, as we just said, back-to-back birdies here on 11 and 12. You know, some people have talked about, are these tees just in order to make the game shorter on the women's side? And I think you would be in agreement by saying it's not just about the length, it's about making the golf more interesting. And what may otherwise be really boring holes, people playing for just the pars. In this case, a lot more people have chances to get the twos, and there's still danger. We're seeing Jen struggle and take the bogey there. So it's not just about making the hole shorter necessarily, it's about making the golf more interesting.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, I was laying up on that to the short tee. And that doesn't make good golf. Nobody wants to see one of the top women's players laying up about 20 feet in front of them. So I think that puts the shot in a great range. I would absolutely go for that from that tee. So it makes it challenging enough, but it doesn't, when it's stretched out, make it look silly.
We saw Paige dip down and look like Jessica hit almost the exact same area, except for Jessica stays safe and Paige is OB, and she's going to throw a little forehand skip shot. She really struggled with her footing there for a while, and we don't see Paige go to a forehand too often, but she definitely has it whenever she needs it.
Yeah, and that I wonder why she chose the forehand on that. I know she had to have the disc go left and carry right, but maybe it was all about that footing. She couldn't get that Anheuser
And there
angle.
is a mandatory, and again, you weren't there this year, but there's a mandatory tree on the left there where you actually see the arrow at that point. You do have to stay to the right of that tree, and that tries to take the sidewalk out of play and errant shots that just carry way far left. And so that's something else to think about here. You can't just throw it out in the middle of anywhere on hole 13.
Ooh, that was a little misfire, but thankfully that landed safe for Jessica. But still, she's going to have a putt that's probably the same distance, it looks like. Thankfully, not at the water this time. I was just going to say,
do you feel like, I mean, she didn't draw metal. She's a solid putter. But by not drawing metal there, could we reasonably deduct that she was really thinking about that water more than anything?
I don't know. I think it's just a matter of the timing that you have in your putt on these elevated baskets. Exactly like that. Maybe if she was trying to correct what she just previously did by overshooting it, now leaving it a little low is, yeah, with these elevated baskets, you know, there's just a lot more thinking than a regular putt.
And some may say, why in the world are the elevated baskets out there? I think you just answered that question. It makes you think a little bit more on some of these putts that otherwise might be relatively routine. So Paige decides she's still not going to take a par here on the back. She's, in fact, going all the way back to hole number 7, I think was the last time she parred.
Wow.
So, correction, actually, hole number 7 she birdied. So all the way back, as far back as hole number 6 where she parred. And Jessica with a double bogey with some putting woes there. So she stays in bounds and still struggles to get up and down, and that's going to push her back a little bit as she's now looking at being tied with Lisa at 6 under par, 12 back of Paige, and they're way out ahead of Jen.
And I had a few people just looking at this hole right now, seeing Lisa tee from the grass. We do have that option on several of these holes, on the front and in the back going towards hole 18, where you have the option to tee off of the grass. Some of these tee pads are a little slippery, they're a little old, and having the grass and the elongated tee pad that way gives you more options, gives you a better angle, and you can see all these ladies are using the grass on this hole.
This is one of the few holes to follow that up, I would say, where going off to the right really actually can change up your run-up and your actual shot selection. I think if you go off the tee pad as it is designed, it really takes a different shape for the hole. So they're using it for all the reasons you just mentioned, but also I think it's just a matter of shaping their shot. And we see Paige had thrown a huge drive out there, and just anywhere out in the middle is good here. And the more distance you can get, the more you can challenge the mandatory tree on the right, the better. But looks to be a really good approach there.
Exactly. And this one, you want to play safe in all these shots you're going to throw. You want to make sure that it lands flat. You don't have that option to skip out of bounds either side and behind the basket. So there's still a lot of technical skills that you have to execute on this shot, even though it looks pretty wide open.
And both Jen and Paige almost the exact same distance, so huge tee shots for both of them. Jen's able to stand still, but there's just so much hyzer on that it actually skips away from her, finding her outside of the circle. There's that lunging putt by Fajkus.
Too high on the jump. Not very much.
And Jen just not having her best day out here, I think would be a good way to put that.
Yeah, and all these ladies, they want to make a run the best that they can. So they're going for all these putts. And unfortunately, it gets a little frustrating when you're not getting those putts in. but Paige doesn't
she
even
had
know how that feels
approached
right now.
right up next to the basket there. We saw a textbook birdie there. She did the exact same thing 2 rounds ago, making hole 14 very easy. This is one of a few par 4s. We're going to move over to 15, which is also a par 4, and the final one that we'll see out here on this Vista XL layout. And everyone will tap in. We'll listen to a word from our sponsor after we check the leaderboard from hole number 14, final round. And Dynamic Disc, again, a huge supporter and sponsor of the Pro Tour as well as the women's post-production coverage. I think they're going to get into the RV business. They've got so many of them out there on the road.
Yeah, I know that Paige is traveling in a new vehicle this year, but it's not an RV. She actually got a converted van, just like Nate and I have been traveling in for a while, and she's decked that thing out. But she should be in that caravan in that commercial.
After we saw a huge drive-by her here on hole number 15. And this is a hole, you know, if you're a righty backhand player, basically anyone that's not Sarah Hokum, who relies so much on her righty forehand, this is a hole where you can just throw it as far and as hard as you'd like. And hopefully that should set you up in a good position to be able to go after the pin for the birdie. Just need to play right of that mandatory tree, which shouldn't be a problem for anyone. And you've got a lot of options.
Right. And that's a new tee. That's a new tee for the ladies this year. And I like that play. It was really hard to get up to even with that Mando tree. So now the ladies are able to throw past that. And now you can see their upshots getting close to the basket and giving them that opportunity to get a 3.
And there's still
par
OB
4
behind the basket and still a chance for someone to take a bogey here, for instance. But, when they looked at the statistics, they found that almost everybody was taking a 4 here before, and it was just not exciting golf. And there wasn't a lot of strategy to it because of where everyone was landing and really the plays that they could make. And so I really love this, as you're saying, here on 15. This makes it, Paige was putting for eagle a moment ago, and then everyone else here is still putting for birdie, and Lisa converts.
Nice. Lisa's getting that putt dialed in.
As you can see, it's become pretty much a really tight battle between her and Jessica. They're going back and forth. It's going to be a matter of who wants that second place spot most right now, and they both have great putts here on 15.
You can see the galleries trickling out, the galleries building. People are checking scores in the background there. So, yeah, it is getting exciting. Paige pretty much has this lead locked down, but the fight for the other places
Paige
is still
starting
up in
off the year with a bang, an international win over in Thailand, then opening up the PDGA National Tour with a win in Las Vegas, and now just a few holes away from officially putting this one on lockdown.
It's great to see. I mean, she was killing it at the end of last year. These ladies are, they're gearing up. This still is so early in the season, just a couple tournaments in for all of them. So competition's starting out hot.
I think Paige was saying her.
Sounded like she was making.
I was just.
Go ahead,
Well,
Jerry.
she said, I think she said my favorite hole, my favorite disc. Like she was just beside herself as to how she made such a mistake, saying that this was her favorite hole, throwing her favorite disc. And what an adjustment here.
Oh. I mean, yeah. There we go. Jen's picking it up a little bit there, making an impact, making a move.
372 feet, and it's really all about the angle. I like Jessica's play there. It skips up short, then skips up onto the hillside and sits down for her. We saw a nasty roll away by Jen 2 rounds ago on her putt.
Yeah, that's what makes putts like this so tricky. I mean, to go for it, you got to have a bunch of strokes ahead of the rest of the field, because any shot hitting that basket is very likely to roll, and if it's rolling down that hill, it's picking up speed and probably going OB. So I wouldn't go and putt this if I was, outside the circle like Paige just was. You want that easy par right there.
She'd throw an OB, but she ended up getting up and down. Par, don't say par. Paige doesn't know what the word par is. Again, she hasn't parred in more than half the course at this rate. And this time it's with a bogey after picking up a pair of birdies just before that. And Lisa's going to tap in. And the battle continues for second right now. They're tied. They're both at 7 under par. Lisa's got 2 strokes on her from this round, which makes them tied. And we're going to an elevated pin here on hole number 17. This is a must-get birdie.
Yeah, this is a fun hole. This is one that I have to dial in my putter shot. It is a must-get birdie, but now that they threw this elevated basket in here, it makes it tricky.
That one actually goes up and to the right, but then checks up for her, and she's going to leave herself an uphill putt from there. Paige, you don't see enough forehands from her. I know we talked about that a few holes ago, but I love watching her throw a forehand, and she relies on it here. And
yeah, I mean, she has such a good putter game. She can throw her putter so easily at that distance, so I'm surprised to see her whip out the sidearm. Maybe she's just having fun.
Actually, they were talking a little bit about scores, and it's, as Jessica says, all right, you're going to lay it up, Lisa. I'll take sole possession a second at the moment. And that's exactly what the conversation was. Paige was talking about Lisa about where those two sit, as Paige doing more Paige things, not taking any pars. And so it was a little bit of gamesmanship there as to what was going on, and Lisa talking about just laying that one up versus running out of birdie and where she is relative. And
yeah, it's good to have an experienced player like Paige giving her advice in this situation. I'm not sure how much either of them are looking at the scores right now, and I always get asked that question if you do want to know the scores going into the last couple of holes or maybe the last hole. And I typically don't. I don't want to have that added pressure. I'm only going to play the hole as good as I can. And I mean, but maybe that choice of going for a putt or laying up, that could be the matter of a second or third place. So
Jessica with the birdie takes a 1-stroke advantage overall and goes deep there. It looks like it's parked. It's a little bit deceptive there. She's almost 30 feet deep of the pin. And at 282, this is a shorter pin position. Again, making this hole, I think, that much more interesting because I think otherwise you saw a lot of threes on this hole. And now with that shorter pin.
You did. Yeah, and so now I feel like players have that water coming into play so much more, whereas exactly like that. I mean, oh, poor Jen, she's feeling the wrath of Vista and the water and the OBs, unfortunately. But I would throw the shot like Lisa just did, nice and safe, bringing it in and not even having to deal with that water. But I guess the birdie's right and everybody's
plays it
grass.
out pretty safe, and she's got the long putt. And what a finish. She loves it.
Wow.
Little props to her peeps. Look at that excitement. What a way to finish.
That is awesome. That is what you want. That is the competitiveness in Lisa. She's got that fire, and she gets pumped when she makes good shots like that.
And after Paige went out of bounds, she's going to finish out the tournament with a bogey, it looks as if, and this is to keep a 1-stroke advantage, and she comes up a little bit high on that, and it looks like Jessica and Lisa with that par will end up tying overall. So interesting to see Jessica take the birdie on 17, Lisa answers with a birdie on 18, and they're going to tie for second place, and Jen gets to bring it in 1 full meter She's trying to finish this off with a par save.
Yeah, even though she knows she didn't do as well as the ladies on this card, you want to get that putt in, and you want to place as well as you can, play as good as you can. The gallery's building, and you know it was a great run for Jen. Unfortunately, you know the round did not play out
And
as
Jessica
she wanted,
will
of course.
finish out, and Paige, who again doesn't know what a par is, doesn't matter because she's your Memorial Champion yet again. Congratulations to her.
Awesome job, Paige.
Yeah, congratulations, Paige. That's how you want to see the round be played. It was fun to watch these ladies play, crushing on the big shots when they should, hitting huge putts, and thank you guys for covering it. It was really fun to watch in the live broadcast, and now I'm so glad to see it be put up in the full episodes, and everybody
Jeremy
can see
Rusko,
these.
owner of Dynamic Disc, her huge support system. Congrats again to Paige. Congrats to all of the women. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you, Val. We'll catch you at the next one.
Oh hey, are you guys looking for a disc that flies pretty straight? I would recommend the Avenger SS. I really like this disc because it's a nice straight fairway driver. What I would recommend for anybody looking for a nice straight drive is a disc that's slightly understable, where you can throw it out at a hyzer flip, let it fly, but it's still gonna come back. If you try and throw anything that's overstable, you're gonna have to crank it too hard, and now you're going against that whole straight flight that you're looking for. So if you're looking for that nice straight driver right out of the box, give the Avenger SS a try.